really good. Okay, so in the previous tutorial, I discussed about conditionals and how to implement conditionals. And we wrote a very simple program to determine our grade by inputting our marks. So that was pretty cool, pretty neat. And now let's discuss about a new concept. So what we're going to discuss now is about functions. Now, we know that functions are like this, you know, like input function, and then there's a print function. Now, what if I tell you that we could create our own functions? That's pretty cool. Now, programs or programming languages, I would say, allow us to create our own built-in functions. These functions, which are over here, are basically known as, programs. I would rephrase that statement and I would say programming languages allow us to create our own user-defined functions. These things here are built-in functions. So these are built in the programming language and we could use it, utilize it, and manipulate it, whatever we want. But we want to do something else. We want to create a little more different stuff, right? We want flexible code so we could use functions. Now, you might ask, where would this be necessary? So let's have an example. First of all, let's go in our folder location, create a new folder, and let's just type in functions. And I'll just change the extension to Py. So you see a new file is created. Cross this one out and toggle this back on. Okay, inside of this, now what I want to do is basically have a greeting function or something like that. So before that, let's do something like this. Print, I would say print, and I would say something like hello, and then I have something like that. Okay, so it's hello, and then we put a name. And over here I would say input, and I would say this is the input function. I would say enter your name, right? And what it would do is that it would put something inside of this name variable, and then it would print out hello and then space name, right? So this is how it's going to work. So we don't need anything like that, and just a comma here after the double quotation. Remember that. If I save this code, what you're going to see is that first I'm going to enter a name, and then it's going to say hello name. So Control Alt N, and it says enter your name, and I say George. So you can say hello George. All right, that's cool. Now, for instance, like we're on a computer, let's say we log in and we get a prompt that says welcome. And we don't want only a name, but we want an exclamation mark at the end, all right? So we could do like that too. Just want to differentiate through commas. So we have a variable, we separate it with a comma. So the comma tells us that, okay, there's another thing right afterwards. So there's an exclamation mark. Now, if I say something like this, now if I save it and Control Alt and N, you say enter your name, let's say Bobby. Now it says welcome Bobby. Now you see that there's a comma that created a space, and we don't want that. That's not good for us. What we do is basically have this something like this. Now if I save this code and try to run it, what do you think will appear? Now you have an invalid syntax error. What is the reason behind this is that these are strings. So the general purpose for this is that they could be concatenated like this. So this is plus the name, which is a string, and then there's a plus here. So this is concatenation. And when I've done this, that red line, the scary red line is gone. I run the code and I enter my name, Bobby. And you could say over here, welcome Bobby. Awesome. Let's have a comma here, just like to make it a little more grammatically correct. So see, now change it to Bobby. Now you say welcome Bobby. That's pretty cool. But what if I say I want to reutilize this code over and over again? What would I do? I would have to write this code again for someone else. Like I say Bobby logged in, Bobby wanted. Let's say Tommy logged in, but now we want welcome Tommy instead of Bobby. One approach is having all of this copied again and again. So this is not something that is desirable, and you would have to do again and again and again for more people, right? So that is not cool. That is not what programming languages allow you to do. But it allows you, but it's not the advantage. Take the most advantage out of programming languages by creating functions. Now these are tiny snippets of code, okay? You could say reusable pieces of code. So we create functions to to store something that we want to repeatedly do in our function, so in our code. So like we have a greeting function, we could define a function using like this. The syntax for this is define. And then we have this option over here, which is name, okay? So what we would do is that we could define the function, would say greet, okay? And then we have these parentheses, and these are known as the input parameters, the input arguments, what you have to put inside. First argument we could put is the name. So we could say name, and that's it, nothing else. So because we just need a name, and then we're just going to print out. So we have this colon operator that tells us that this is going to be indented, so that's going to be a part of the function. So the name is over here, right? And it's over here. And what you're going to do is, instead of having this print function over here, let me cross this out and paste it right in here. Now we have this function defined, and the name of the function is greet. It has an input parameter of name. And I would tell you all of this, and what it does is the welcome name and exclamation mark, and that's all it does. So what we do here is that we have nothing to need over here, and let's just put this on the top. By conventional purposes, functions are on the top, the main body is on the bottom, and when you get more complex, you could create these in different files. So what this function do is that it greets people. So like we could put a name inside of this. Now we know that names are first inputs, right? So we could say, let's see, greet, and we could say something like hello, or we could say Bobby here, right? Save this code, Control Alt and N, and you would see welcome Bobby appearing on the terminal screen. Let me save CLS this, and now instead of having to copy paste everything again and again, for Tommy, we're just gonna have to write this once again and just write his name inside. So Tommy, and now the basic concept behind this is that when you write this, this is called the actual parameter. And over here is called the formal parameter. And this is the invoking part. So what we're doing here is we're calling the function. So I would put a pound over here, and I would put a pound over here. And I was saying, calling the function, which is already defined in there. Also, another famous word to say this is invoking, which also means calling. So invoking the function. There you go. So we have Tommy and Bobby, and if I Control Alt and end this, you see welcome Bobby and welcome Tommy. Look how easy our code got, and very efficient way we're solving this. This thing over here, which is a string, is going over here, which is already a string, and it knows that's a string. So what it does is that it concatenates it and provides a better answer to this. Very basic and very simple. We created a welcome prompt program. So thank you. Thank you for spending your time. Put a pat on your back, and you've learned so much concept already.